Breaking right now at 4 on Queen City News. Former President Donald Trump pleads not guilty to 37 federal charges against him. Trump appeared in federal court in Miami this afternoon, where he was arraigned on accusations he mishandled hundreds of classified documents relating to the security of the nation he once led.
We want Trump! We want Trump! We want Trump!
Hundreds of protesters flooding the streets surrounding the Miami courthouse, both for and against the former president. Let's go ahead and take a live look now at the motorcade leaving the courthouse, heading for Miami International Airport. It'll be a pretty quick drive over there, but not as close as he was leaving his golf club earlier in Doral. Now, we were told that there was a little bit of tension between demonstrators at the courthouse, but no specific reports of violence. Now, we should note there was a bomb scare earlier in the afternoon that quickly was disproved, and everything went off without a hitch. So thank you very much for staying with us here on air on Queen City News during this historic federal indictment of former President Donald Trump.
And as we get into the 4 o'clock hour, Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes continues to be with us here. And Khalif, historic, as Andy was just saying here, but no surprise here, is pleading not guilty to the 37 counts.
Obviously, historic day is an understatement, but nothing that anyone didn't anticipate. I mean, it all occurred just like we thought it would. He'd appear, he'd go underneath, we wouldn't see him. No electronics inside, no devices, no cameras. I mean, so we got no curveballs. Probably just the timing. He left earlier from his estate earlier at 1:30. I don't think anyone's anticipating him to leave that early. Got there about an hour and a half before his hearing, and then stayed almost about an hour after the hearing. And so that probably was a little bit longer than we anticipated, but 37 charges, that's a lot to read. And so and I'm assuming the magistrate wanted him to be extremely thorough.
So now what's next for the defense here? Because we've had all of these. There's an obstruction in here, which, as you've noted, is probably something that it might be harder to prove, but it kind of separates the president's case. So what's his defense team doing now? Strategizing.
I know before today they were interviewing attorneys down there to try to finalize their team. I would assume they would continue to do that after the president gets on the plane and goes back to New Jersey. The rest of the team probably should stay there and finalize whatever interviews they have. And then that attorney would want to meet with the president. And again, that's what I talked about before. It's that timing that he's in a lot of places all at the same time. And so trying to craft a legal team with a person in your same state's a good thing. It's going to be hard to do that when you're going all over the country. So we'll see how that plans out, but it'll be strategizing right now for sure.
You know, as we look live here, as the motorcade is making its way back to the Miami International Airport, so he's going to fly out. And Khalif, he is going to be speaking tonight at Bedminster. He's going to have a high-dollar fundraiser early, and then he's going to be speaking tonight as part of that campaign. And also, he will likely speak about what transpired today. Would the judge have said anything to him about that today and saying, no gag order, you can't say anything like that? Is that something that could have happened?
It could have happened. Do I think it was likely? No. I think his attorney would advise him, don't mention anything about specific facts of the case. Mention things about the process, mention things about the overreach of the government, the overreach of the prosecutor, how this case has never been done like this before in the past. But his attorney would have advised him, don't touch any of the facts. Don't say, I didn't do this and I did this, because your own words were used against you to get this indictment, and you don't want them to be used against you to further to convict you. And so, by all means, his attorney would have advised him to be quiet. The magistrate judge in this situation would have advised him of his rights to seek counsel and advised him of the next steps in his case.
And for everyone who is just joining us now, I asked you this question, I think a couple hours ago, but a lot of people are asking, okay, this is the second indictment for the former president. How is he still able to run for office?
The short answer is our Constitution. It allows an individual that's of age, 35, and residence, 14 years, an opportunity to run for president. And we've had case law in the past that have said that there can be nothing added to that, and for good reason. You don't want our Congress adding additional stipulations like, hey, must have grown up on the West Coast, or, you know, must be 6 foot tall. I mean, you could think of the other requirements that could be added, but I think it's straightforward that these are our minimum requirements that qualify you to run for office. Now, should you run for office with 2 indictments, that's a whole nother story. But do you have the qualifications and the abilities to run for office? There's nothing stopping you.
It's all going to be about public opinion without letting the voters decide. So right now we're going to head out live to Brittany Mueller, who is outside the Miami federal courthouse where Trump just left. She's got the very latest for us. Brittany?
Good afternoon. We just watched Former President Donald Trump's motorcade leave the federal courthouse here from downtown Miami. Security has been tight. We've also seen confrontations between supporters and protesters.
America belongs to we the people.
Hundreds of demonstrators rallying outside the federal courthouse in downtown Miami ahead of Donald Trump's history-making court appearance.
Another witch hunt. Another witch hunt. That's all it is.
The former president has called the federal indictment political and election interference.
The world is watching us dress up like clowns because this is a circus.
Security is tight on the property.
Guys, keep moving back.
A suspicious item found, prompting Homeland Security agents and Miami officers to clear media and those rallying out of the area. Agents monitoring this TV that was strapped to a pole. Police dogs were seen searching the area for any possible threats. The situation was then cleared an hour later.
Shouldn't President Trump still be running? He's the greatest. Look what our country was like under his leadership. Look where our country is today. It breaks my heart.
Tensions growing between supporters and protesters. Now, no cameras were allowed inside the federal courthouse during that court appearance this afternoon. No conditions or travel restrictions were set. Brian and Annie?
All right, yeah, Brittany, we saw a lot of those reporters just scrambling to get out after so they can get it set up for their live shots there. Former President Trump, he's in his motorcade right now heading back to the Miami International Airport. Where's he taking off to?
Well, he will be taking off to New Jersey, where he's expected to hold a private fundraiser. But before he gets to Miami International Airport, we're hearing that he will be making a stop in Miami at a Cuban restaurant.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Very
okay.
interesting. All right. Brittany Moeller reporting for us live outside the Miami courthouse. Thank you so much.